You're watching NBC4, Washington's news leader. Now, live in HD.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Jim Handley. Today, keeping America informed. It is the role and mission of the U.S. Government Printing Office. It has a history dating back 150 years, and joining us this morning is Bill Borman, the public printer of the United States. Welcome to Viewpoint. Great to see you.
Good morning, Jim, and thanks for having me.
Your office has quite a history. It was created the day that Abraham Lincoln took office as president.
That's right. Actually, an act of Congress was passed a year earlier, but it was opened on March 4th, 1861, the same day President Lincoln was inaugurated, our 16th president. And shortly after that, actually about this time, we printed the first major document for him, which was the Emancipation Proclamation. Quite a feat, yeah.
Wow.
And that's the main theme, and I know we're going to talk about it this morning, but that's the main theme of our exhibit that we have on North Capitol Street celebrating our 150th anniversary.
Which is free and open to the public.
It is free, and it's open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and we urge you to come down and see it. It's a small museum, but it's packed with history all about printing and documents that the Government Printing Office has produced. There's actually, it tells the story of about America and how it's developed, including the Civil War and all of those kinds of things.
Why was the GPO created initially?
Well, when the government was first formed, the first printer, not the public printer, but the first congressional printer was Benjamin Franklin. And so we have quite a history, coming off. There was a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse because they were contracting everything and there was no one overseeing it. So the Congress decided to create the Government Printing Office to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, and to centralize printing for all of the federal government so that all the documents could be kept together in a base and then disseminated to the public in one stream so there wouldn't be created a whole bunch of fugitive documents. And so it's worked very well. And all of that today is still in place.
One of the critical roles of the office are the public papers of the president, and I want to share with our viewers a fascinating video about the process of producing the president's public papers. Let's take a look now.
How are you?
Hi, Mr. President. I'm the public printer.
So nice to see you,
Thank you for the appointment.
Oh,
I'm enjoying it very much.
Are you having fun?
Oh, I'm having fun.
Well, everything is printed wonderfully. So what does this...
Public printer Bill Borman, archivist David Ferriero, and the director of the Federal Register, Ray Mosley, lead a group into the Oval Office to present President Barack Obama with the first volume of his public papers.
This is the first of 2 volumes for 2009.
Outstanding.
With your name.
With my name on it. This is nice binding.
Well, we don't do many of these.
These are beautiful.
The binding and production of the public papers of the president is done by employees at the U.S. Government Printing Office. For more than 50 years, GPO has produced these historic books for the president. GPO partners with the National Archives and Records Administration and the Office of the Federal Register to compile, print, and bind the book. The publication is edited by OFR employees and serves as an authoritative record of presidents. The public papers of the presidents is produced in 6-month installments or 2 volumes each year. The book is put together in chronological order. It contains a foreword by the president, public writings, addresses, remarks, and photographs of events during the time period.
It's another way for the American public to keep track of their government, their president, and to relive some of the high points of the first year of this presidency.
The papers are also available online through GPO's Federal Digital System, or FDSys. This system serves as a one-stop site to authentic publish government information.
After we make the presentation, then it's up to GPO to make sure that the book gets in the libraries, it gets into the sales program, and it gets up online. And I explained to the president at the meeting when he asked me personally about GPO and how we're coping with the change in technology. I explained to him that we have the platform for all the digital information, and we're the only agency that does that.
Producing the printed copies of the public papers of the president involves about 40 steps from start to finish. Proofs of the pages go through a thorough inspection process, making sure every page is perfect.
we're looking at the dot structure to make sure it's an actual dot, similar to the dot that's going to be printed onto the printed piece. At the proofing stage, this is kind of our last chance. We want to make sure it's right so that when we get to press, this is exactly what we'll see.
Once the final copy is approved, the book goes to press and then to the hands of employees in GPO's bindery.
This very important book, and I like to make these books very nice, and also I feel proud because I'm making a book for my president.
There are several steps to binding the book. Archivist David Ferriel stops by GPO to observe part of that process. The leather for the cover, which is delivered to the president, is cut out by hand. The rough edges of the book's pages are then skim trimmed. President Obama's picture is cut out and inserted into the book, and the pages are then sewn together. The book cover is glued, and end papers are attached to the inside front and back covers.
The press here is to keep the end papers under pressure so that they don't bubble and that all the adhesives cure in an orderly fashion.
Once assembly of the book is complete, the final process is gold stamping. The title of the book is gold stamped onto the spine, and the book going to President Obama has his name stamped on the cover.
This is the stamping. I hope that President Obama like it.
The end product is something that I can step back and say, a little bit of history. It's an honor to become part of that history.
The final copy to the president is wrapped and taken directly from GPO's bindery and into the Oval Office. It is then handed to the President of the United States by the public printer and archivist.
It takes a team in order to produce this volume. We've had the good fortune for 75 years to work as a team, the Office of the Federal Register and the Government Printing Office, and we're quite proud of the collaboration that has taken place during those years.
This piece of history is another example of GPO employees working with other federal agencies and seeking out the latest technologies to keeping America informed on the three branches of the federal government.
That is impressive. A lot of pride and hard work went into that. People can get this.
Yes, they can, Jim. They can purchase it at our bookstore on North Capitol Street, or they can purchase it online. It is online, and of course, it's a lot cheaper through ebooks.
Wow, what a treasure. Okay, we'll be back to talk with Bill Boorman much more about how this office has transformed over the decades, and you've been there for about 35 years on and off, so you've seen it change.
Exactly, I have.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. And we're back on Viewpoint. Bill Boorman is our guest this morning. He is the public printer of the United States. And Bill, this is a presidential appointment. You really serve at the pleasure of the president.
That's correct, Jim. I was appointed by President Obama, and I took office as public printer, took the office that afternoon, and went over and took over the GPO that evening.
You are certainly no stranger to publishing and printing.
No, I have about a 45-year background in the printing and publishing industry. I actually served an apprenticeship here in Washington, D.C. at the McCardle Printing Company, which is still in business. They're located in Maryland. And then I had the good fortune to work at the GPO in 1974, 1977 as a printer. So to go back there as the head of the agency on January 3rd was a truly humbling experience for me.
And talk about the day. There were about, in the beginning, as many as 8,000 employees, and now we're down to more than 2,000.
Yeah, well, there was 8,000 employees there when I worked there, but because of the changes in technology, GPO has downsized. I'm happy to say that no one really lost their job, though. People were treated out, they retired, or they were retrained to do the new technology. Today we're down to less than 2,200, and we'll probably drop some more because we're going to do a buyout because of the budget cuts that are being placed upon us. So it's a much different agency, but we do probably more work now because of technology, and we do it at about probably 2/3 cheaper than it was done before.
Much more efficient. Much more
efficient, and we have a highly trained, highly skilled workforce that I'm so proud of. They come to work every day that Congress is in session. I mean, they come to work every day, but when the rest of the government's off, if there's an earthquake or if there's a tremendous snowstorm like we had in 2010, our people come to work, and they work through the night. A lot of them don't go home, and if Congress is working, we're working.
And that brings me to my next question, how critical the role is, because every day you are delivering documents that are crucial and critical to the work of Congress.
Well, I mean, I think that we help them open the doors every day because we provide them with a calendar for that day's events. We provide them with the previous day's journal and the congressional record. We put it up online by 6 a.m. in the morning, and we deliver it print ink on paper version by about 9 a.m. And so I think it's critical. We also do all of the bills and the hearings and the reports that they use every day in order to conduct their hearings. And our presses run through the night in order to get that done and get that stuff. And sometimes the stuff comes in very late, like maybe 1:30 in the morning. We'll get like this much copy manuscript, and we'll turn it into about this much print overnight, put it up online, and deliver it without a hitch. It's an amazing
feat. 24/7 operation.
We are. We're 24/7. We're not open on Saturday and Sunday except when Congress is in session. Then we do work. We have people there over the weekend to secure the plant, to make sure the plant operation is fine, that nothing happens. But the workforce is off on the weekends unless Congress is working, and then we're there.
We've talked about Congress and the White House, but also the federal agencies out there too. You do work for them.
Yeah, we do almost all the printing for the federal government. We do the work for the Office of Federal Register, and we publish a Federal Register every day that there's not a holiday. And that's probably one of our largest jobs, and usually it's about this thick, and it's known as the government's newspaper. And we put that up online, and we also print ink on paper for that and deliver it to people that are interested. A lot of lawyers get it. A lot of people in the Justice Department have to have that document every day in order for them to function. The rest of the federal government, we print some of their materials in plant, but we have this tremendous relationship with the printing industry, and we contract out a large amount of the agency work to the printing industry to the tune of about $500 million last year. And we estimate that probably creates about 70,000 good jobs in America. And it's on a low bid, best price execution. Any printer, regardless of their size, can get into our program. It's all done online, and they can bid for the job. And we have some regional offices around the country that assist federal agencies with their printing. So we're a one-stop shop place for federal agencies, and they love the work we do for them. And I want to mention that we do all of the work for the State Department, and probably one of the most important jobs we do is we print the passports with a chip in it, very highly secured operation. And we, 1 year I think we printed 25 million passports. Last year I think it was something like 14 million. Wow. In addition to that, we print secure ID badges for Homeland Security. For the State Department, we do most of the diplomatic IDs for the people in this city. We do driver's licenses. And we also do, we're proud to say, we work for the D.C. government. We do their #1 card, which is the ID card that the employees and the school children use to enter facilities. And I was fortunate enough to have Mayor Gray over a couple weeks ago. He came by to visit. We had about 27 students that worked there for the summer in one of his summer youth programs. And he came over in their last few days to congratulate them on completing their assignment at the GPO. And we took him on a tour, and we showed him where we were producing the ID cards. And I presented him with his ID card, which was loaded with $5 worth of Metro. And I said, please ride the Metro. Yeah.
That's great. I was not aware of all this in D.C. in our own backyard, too, and the global outreach, too, that you do for the State Department. I was.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more to get to with Bill Borman right after this short break, so stick around on Viewpoint. And welcome back. Our guest this morning is Bill Borman. He is the public printer of the United States with the Office of Government Printing. Bill, we were talking about this massive transformation that's been happening in the digital world. How has that affected the job that you folks do there?
Well, we put, probably 70% of what we do now is what we call front-end work in order to get it up online. As compared to years ago, 70% was probably, we do less and less printing. We do a lot of printing at the GPO still, but Most of what we do is really digital. It started in the early 90s. We had what we called GPO Access, and we were probably one of the first agencies to make publications available online. We're very proud of that accomplishment. Mike DeMario was the public printer at that time, and he led that task. And then more recently, we turned to the digital side, and we made it official in December that now FDSys is the official way to access, GPO's online information. And everything we do, we put up online. And, we're ingesting a lot of books from agencies that we didn't print so that people can access those. We have an agreement with the courts to start putting up all kinds of court opinions and court documents. Right. And so eventually, citizens, scholars, researchers, students will be able to find almost any document they want on gpo.com and then just hit FDSys.
That's amazing. And what it must have done for efficiency, too, in your office.
Well, it has. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, we've come down in the size of the workforce, and so we have to purchase less paper, less ink. There is a huge investment, though, in technology, and you have to continue to make that investment. Sure. Because it changes all the time, and the workforce has to be highly skilled in order to do these kinds of jobs. I mean, these things just don't happen without a good workforce, and we're fortunate in that we do have a highly trained and skilled workforce.
Talk a little bit about where the future takes us from here. And every agency has seen budget cuts, certainly, and these are tight times. How has that impacted your office?
Well, that's my biggest challenge, I think, as public printer, to convince the House and the Senate and then collectively to give us enough money in order to operate the GPO efficiently and effectively. We only print what they ask us to do. Mm-hmm. And so we estimate what they're going to ask us to do based on our historical operations with them. And we give them a number, but unfortunately everyone, not just us, has been given a number much lower than that. So we've adopted the slogan, we're going to do more for less. And I believe we'll get there. I mean, I've had town hall meetings with the employees. I've spent all day, 4 hours, probably 4 or 5 hours in one day, having 4 different town hall meetings, explaining to them how things have changed and what we need in order to meet the requirements of the budget cuts. And I had got the sense that they understand, they get it, and I think we'll get through this.
Well, you make the case to them every day.
Yeah, right.
They certainly see your work every day.
They do, and I think it's greatly appreciated by most everyone in Washington. We get glowing kinds of congratulatory and thank you letters from the people that we actually work for, like the clerk of the House. She lets me know all the time how happy she is that we were able to meet the congressional record schedule the night before because they kind of abused us. The Secretary of the Senate, same thing. GPO, we love you. The Secretary of State, GPO, we love you. And it's not, it's the employees that do this that enable us to get these kind of accolades. And it just makes me like the proudest father in the room to lead an organization of men and women like GPO has.
That's great. We'll be right back with Bill Borman right after this short break. Stick around. And welcome back to Viewpoint. Bill Borman is our guest. He is the public printer of the United States. You want to know any document about anything that's going on in this country, I guess, assuming that it's not classified, right? Is there any back and forth there about what can be published and what can't? That must be, in some agencies,
well,
a big issue.
There was one time when GPO used to print a lot of classified documents. Today, most of those are done by someone else. But most, if not all, of what we produce is available to the public. We like to think of ourselves, I mean, our mission is to inform America, and that's our slogan. But we like to think of ourselves as the transparency pusher for government documents. So just about everything, if not everything, that we publish, you can either buy or get online.
Well, one of the things that you can buy is this real spectacular. It is a beautiful book here with all the photographs dating back to 1861. And the title is, I mean, some of these are just amazing. I'm not doing them justice, but even the baseball leagues that you had back in the day. It's called Keeping America Informed. And you can buy this at the bookstore down there on North Capitol. Tell us a little bit about the history exhibit that you've got down there, Bill.
Well, we opened it in June, and it was a very proud moment. We actually, the first night, we had a special showing just for the employees because, Jim, they actually built the museum. We had an outside museum person come in and help us, you know, with the ideas. But it was built from the ground up by our employees, all on straight time. And so they were so proud of it that we decided that the first night that we would open to them, we had an opening, and then later we had an opening for the general public. So now it's open to the general public every day from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock. And as I mentioned before, I think it's a worthwhile stop. And we have a book at the end we like people to sign, and we're getting just great comments. And there's even some computers at the very end of the exhibit where you can go online and access FDSys and search for documents. So it shows you the transition from hand type when the printing office was still open, where printers would type by hand. Today, people are accessing their information on handheld devices like iPhones. Wow. And so that's what we're doing. We're on Twitter, you know, we're on Facebook, you know, we're on all of those different things today. We've completely modernized so that we can compete with all the other people that are in this kind of thing. And this is great stuff, this you know, government printing. If you care about what your government does, and a lot of people do, you can find it through GPO.
We've just got about 30 seconds left. When you talk about people can sign a book, the president signed the first edition of the book that you gave him. Tell us about that experience in the Oval Office. He was very curious about the role of your office.
Yeah, he was, and it was a wonderful day. And let me tell you, it's any time you get a chance to go to the Oval Office, it's a good day. And President Obama couldn't have been warmer to David Ferriero, the architect, and the archivist and I. And he asked me a lot of questions about GPO and technology and how it was affecting the employees. And I said, well, you know, your book, as well as presenting it to you today, it's up online. And people can access this through e-books, and they can buy it for a lot cheaper than they can buy it in hard copy.
Sure.
So he was pretty amazed by that. He said, really, I can go online? I said, absolutely. The book is there. You should do it. Show your children. Hit the FDSys and go right to the president's papers, and there it is.
Well, congratulations. The Government Printing Office, and this is the man in charge, Bill Borman, the actual public printer of the United States. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank
Bill,
you, Jim.
thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And we thank you for watching us this Sunday morning on Viewpoint. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Now back to News for Today.